Hey, all right. How's it going, Internet? This is Jeff Welsh here. How are you doing today? Hey, I wanted to take some time and record a really quick video introducing myself and letting the world know who I am and what my professional background is. Basically, I'm a lifelong creative who's had a passion for my work for my entire career. I've always enjoyed creating things, and this goes all the way back to when I was a kid. I loved to always make things with my hands or learn how to take photographs with a camera, things of that nature. I've always enjoyed creative work. But pretty much most of my career, I always kind of worked like in the background of things. And even in my current business, up until recent times, I've just been like the background guys, the operation guy, the guy who's running the creative and the campaigns, never really the guy in the foreground promoting the business or working on the visual front end of business. But that is all changing here recently. And I wanted to give you a little bit of more insight of how I got to where I'm at now. So let's go back to when I went to college. Basically, it took me some time to get a 4-year degree, a little bit longer than I would like to admit, but I did eventually graduate with a Bachelor of Arts degree in the visual arts with an emphasis in digital art from the University of Maryland, Baltimore County. That's known as UMBC for those of you that are not as familiar with the University of Maryland system. But I eventually graduated there in 2001. And it took me a while because I had been one that worked for a living and went to school all at the same time. So I had bills that I created, and it's a long story, but we won't go there. But I eventually finished. As I was working in the creative industry, I was going to school in the evenings and learning visual arts from the fine art perspective, as opposed to the commercial side of what I was doing for a living. And so I eventually finished my schooling, and my work experience really entails creative work over the course of 3 decades. I know that sounds like a really long time, and it is. Don't get me wrong. I feel like it was just yesterday that it was the early 90s, thereabouts, when I was doing my first creative jobs and things of that nature. But over those 3 decades, I've done a lot of different things, right? I've done things from photography on film, all the way up until commercial photography in the digital platform, which was not a thing when I first started. At first, I photographed product photography on film. But then digital cameras became a thing, and I won't get into that. We'll have to do that in another video. But essentially, I did product photography. And during that job, I actually became a graphic designer as well and started to work on print design projects for catalogs. And that's really what I did. I worked myself through college working, doing photography as well as print design. I did do some wedding photography stuff there, but that was a whole different thing. That really wasn't something I really got into. I really have always focused on the commercial end of things. And it's just been a lot of fun. And so I did that for quite some time. Fast forward into the late 90s, early 2000s, I ended up working for a couple of different places in Maryland and California where I learned the new skill set of being a web designer and a web developer. Okay, so I did that for quite some time because the internet was becoming a big thing, and it's kind of interesting when you look back at it because it's been a long time now. But I essentially started learning web development and started working remotely. Oh gosh, at this point it's been 22 years ago. So this whole new remote work thing that the world has gotten themselves into because of the pandemic has nothing new to me. I've been doing it for a long time. So anyhow, I'm getting off track there a little bit, but essentially I've been a web designer, a web developer, and also a digital marketer for a long time. Okay. I also, while I did that as well, I also worked as adjunct faculty for 2 different colleges, one of them in California, one of them in upstate New York. And I taught students graphic design, whether it be print design, web development, and as well as marketing services. So I've got extensive experience teaching as well. And that was something that was way out of my realm of education as far as like being professionally trained when I first got into it, but it was something that I really thoroughly enjoyed as I got into it because I had a passion for what I was doing creatively, and I had a deep, extensive knowledge of the things that I was doing. So I love to share that with younger students and people in their profession that are still going to college. And that's essentially what I did for a long time. But at one point, I was making strides in my career, and I've lived all over the country in Maryland, California, upstate New York, and a couple other places as well, but not as long as those areas before I moved to where I currently am living in West Virginia. But I was making strides in my career, right? I was getting new jobs. I was getting lots of experience. I was working in different industries, which we won't get into the depths of that now. But I was learning lots of stuff. I've always loved to learn, and I've always loved to share what I learned. But you know what? Like something just wasn't right. Like I just wasn't really happy with the work that I was doing. And it just wasn't fulfilling everything within my being, you know. Like at the time, I was still just a relatively newly married man with my wife Amy, but we were living paycheck to paycheck for a long time, and I had to work multiple jobs just to make ends meet, and it was not really fun at all. I was really quite frustrated. And by the time I was done my work, my creative work, which I had such a passion to do, I didn't want to have anything to do with creative work. We traveled a ton, but I didn't want to take photographs anywhere we went because I just was tired of that work and I just lost the spark. And at the age of 36, I became a dad for the first time. My wife and I had our now 16-year-old daughter, Sadie, and 3 years later, we had Eliza at the age of 39, and here I was. I was a brand new, fresh dad living in upstate New York in an area that really didn't provide an awful lot of opportunity for me professionally, but fortunately I could work remotely and find some work and scavenge up some things to help make ends meet. But I was also working and trying to figure out how to be a dad. And we had also bought a house too. And we did all of those three things, you know, from me being self-employed as a freelancer to becoming a dad and buying a house, all within a very short period of time. Don't ever recommend doing that because it's highly stressful. And but you know, it took me a while to realize what my calling was, and I eventually realized that I was meant at that point in my life to be there for my kids. But I can, as far as my profession goes, I continued my self-employment journey, and I started a photography studio because that's what I was best at and had done for a long time, and I would try to bring in some new commercial clients to do photographs. And we did that for quite some time, but it just was barely making ends meet. But then I started a web development firm at one point because I had experience in e-commerce, 20 some years ago, working for a software company in California. I figured, well, maybe I can supplement the photography work with this web development work. And as most of you may know, that's completely two different areas of the brain that it takes, left and right side of the brain, to be able to do that type of work. And it was very difficult to juggle that stuff and try to grow a business, at that point, being a new dad. And the struggle was real, guys. It was really hard raising two kids and being self-employed in upstate New York. My wife worked for the university, so we did have stable income there. But as far as my professional career goes, it was tough. I was constantly scrambling to find new work. Some bigger than others. They would come and go, as you can imagine, and it just wasn't working well for us as far as like the income side goes. Until eventually we moved to where we currently lived 12 years ago, to Morgantown, West Virginia, where West Virginia University is located, for my wife to take on another advanced job from where she was working to a better position for her professionally. And it gave us an opportunity to have more income, more stable income. But we had to pick up and move again. We had moved from Maryland to California, California to upstate New York, now New York to West Virginia, and a few places in between there too. And I just had to reestablish myself. And it was not fun. It was very difficult until I finally had the opportunity to start an agency with my now current business partner. And this is 10 years ago. My partner and I joined forces, essentially, we'll keep it short, and started what is now Impact Results, our digital ad agency. And it wasn't, and again, once again, here we were starting something all over again, myself all over again, but something new. But at least I had somebody else to work with. And we didn't have anything. Like, he was super young at the time. And we all right, we worked really well together on some creative projects, but we both said, look, let's put $500 a piece into this thing and let's see what we can make of it. And we did stuff all across the boards, as you can imagine. We were doing print stuff, business card stuff, web, video, all sorts of things at the time, just to make ends meet. It was just two of us for a long time, but we slowly built the business. And we slowly gained new clients, and we slowly but surely kind of narrowed and figured out what our niche was. And we eventually moved into the digital marketing realm. And as things started to kind of get narrowed and focused on where our specialty was and where we were better than everybody else locally, we just grew and grew, and we started to bring in team members and stuff as well. And so the team grew, the business grew, we narrowed our niche within our local market, because that was the idea, to build the business, the core foundation of the business in the local market, and then moving it out on a national level. And lo and behold, after a few short years of lots of trial and error and a little bit of struggling here and there, we eventually, within a 1 year period of time, we eventually went from not making a whole lot of money to making creating a 7-figure business, essentially. And then eventually went well over 7-figure business. We were doing work for clients globally, okay? Not only here in the country, we decided to move outside of our local area now that we kind of had our act together. And then we started to do work for people all across the country, and eventually moved into Canada and Australia as well. And so we've done work for quite some time, and we've been in business for 10 years. But then the global pandemic hit, and we all know what happened when COVID hit. And marketing budgets plummeted. They were the first things to go. Uncertainty was all around. People were scared to go into an office. I mean, you name it. We've been through it. But after a lot of focus and energy and dedication to our mission and our purpose as an agency, we prevailed and we survived the global pandemic. And I'm proud to say that not only did we survive, but we grew, and we didn't lay off a single person in those 3 years at all. We've actually never laid off a single person due to work volume, ever. It's usually people decide to move on because of other opportunities, or we bring in new people, whatever. So we survived that as well. And this year in March of 2023 marked the 10-year anniversary of Impact Results, and I'm super proud of all that we have done. And after years and years of investing hundreds of thousands of dollars in ourselves and our company, and putting it back into the benefits program and taking care of our people first, I can proudly say that we have the best team that we have ever had, and we have the most solid service that we have ever provided to our customers. And I'm super, super proud of everybody that works here on the team. And we've scaled down as people moved on. Maybe we didn't bring new people back. At one point in time, we had 15. Now we're down to 9. But that's okay. We streamlined. We built a better service. We built a better opportunity for our team members. We built better benefits. We built all of these things because we just kept dumping the money back into the business. And that's kind of where we're at now, is that we're at a good position as far as like the life of the company goes. But in order to get here, we had to make a ton of mistakes, guys. We had to make a mountain of mistakes. And thankfully, whenever we made a mistake, we didn't make it again. We learned from those lessons, okay? And we just corrected them and moved on. And at one point in time, we essentially what used to work was no longer working for our company. So what did my partner and I decide to do? We burnt the ships. We burnt this place to the ground. Now, not literally, we did not burn the building to the ground, but we tore this thing completely apart down to its bare bones and got rid of all that was bad, all that was not working, whether it be strategies and frameworks to team members to whatever. We just moved on, and we've built it back up, and we're stronger for that. And I'm just really proud of where we're at. And I'm really excited about what the future holds, because at this point in my career, I shouldn't be at a position to where I'm worried about starting something from nothing and how it's going to go. I'm proud of having team members and leaders within our business and organization that are actually capable of running this business for my partner and I. So we can do other things too. Like, we have other things in life we want to do professionally, and as far as our family goes, and with with our lives, really. And so where does that bring me? That actually brings me at a new stage of my career. And I realized something recently, and I realized that there was something that was actually missing. And what was it that was missing? I realized that I actually missed that opportunity to share my knowledge, to help teach other people, because I haven't done that for a long time other than my team members. And some of my team members teach me now, the ones that have been around for a long time. But I missed that opportunity to share my knowledge with other people, to help people avoid mistakes, to help other people grow. I missed the opportunity of teaching and helping others. And now that's exactly where I'm at. I'm actually on a huge mission personally within my career. I'm here to help other people grow in their entrepreneurial journey. And I'm here to help people generate high volume sales and how to actually scale their businesses, or start businesses literally from nothing, just like I did. Because you're probably in the same position that I did. You're not happy with where you're at, and you're not comfortable where your financial position is, and you're ready to actually move on, but you don't know where to start. And that's what I'm here for. I'm here to help people avoid the mistakes that I made in my career, to avoid those mistakes and actually push themselves forward to new levels that they thought they would never, ever get themselves to be able to build something special, something they have a passion for, and just enjoy life and get the life that they so deserve. Okay? And so we're actually at a unique time in this world, and we're actually in a position where everybody has the ability to work remotely, as you all know, and fast pace, where we're in that position of having remote work, and we're there faster than I ever thought we would ever have gotten. Because I was planning for it to happen in years down the road, but the pandemic changed that for us all. It made us move into that position and solve problems immediately. Anybody can actually build a business now to support themselves, to support their loved ones, to do the things that they want to do in their career. But all you have to do in order to do that is to set your mind. You have to make that decision today that this is what I'm going to achieve. This is what I'm going to do. I'm no longer going to put up with the crap that I've put up with. I'm no longer satisfied with the things that are put on my plate on a daily basis. And you have to put in the work. You actually have to put in the hard work, and it's going to take a long time. It doesn't happen overnight. Trust me. You can't build skill sets and have them immediately. You have to stack them one by one over time. Little wins to get to the bigger picture. And that's why I'm here, to help make that work a lot easier. And that's my story, guys. I just wanted to share a little bit of my professional journey. Now, that's 3 decades, like, zoomed into, a few minutes worth of time, really. But I just wanted to share that story with you and let you know that I'm here to help. And for those of you that are interested in learning more, I do have a website. And it's in a separate venture that I'm working on slowly over time. It's called the StratFi Academy. And the URL is stratfiacademyletter.com. And if you go to that URL, you'll be able to take a look at some of the things that I'm sharing with others, some of the lessons that I've learned through my entrepreneurial work, as well as some of the tools and techniques that are working for my agency today for companies all over the world. I'm here to share that with you. And thanks a lot for taking the time to listen to my video today. I really appreciate you guys, and we'll see you in the next video. Take care. Have a great day.